All right, Bobby Holland Hanton, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
No worries. Thanks for having me. Good to see you. I'm very well, thank you. And how are you?
My friend, you too. How's life in the UK lockdown treating you?
It's challenging. I think it's challenging for everyone. The weather here is absolutely amazing at the moment, so everyone's making the most of that. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have an outdoor garden space, which me, my wife, and our little girl, we utilise that as much as possible and try and think on our feet and train and spend as much time in the weather and outside to get that fresh air as possible. But it's crazy. I think the lockdown and the restrictions are starting to ease slightly, but I still think that everyone is kind of in the same predicament with it's such a grey area and we still really don't know what's happening and what the right thing is to do.
Yeah, of course. Well, I guess I should probably introduce you to those that maybe not are as familiar, shame on them, with you and who you are and what you do. So you are a stuntman, but you began as a gymnast, I believe, and then sort of made your way into becoming a stuntman, have become a very successful film stuntman, I guess, on films such as you've done Quantum Solace, you've done Batman, you've done majority of Chris Hemsworth's. Obviously, you've worked with him, I believe, for over the course of, 7, 8 years?
8 years now, yeah. 8 years, 12 movies together, yeah.
Okay. And how did that come about? Like from going from a gymnast into film?
Yeah, so after my gymnastics career came to a pretty rapid halt and it was kind of closed the door on that due to me growing too tall. I had a Russian coach that left my gym and went to America, and then I had a bad back injury. I had those three things that were quite major elements to me, the decision for me to give up. I then, I had a passion for football, and I played football semi-professional for 2 years. And then I got into live acrobatic shows and stunt shows all over the world. Actually, in Dubai, I did a show in one of the malls. So I did a lot of live show stuff, and then I did a little bit of parkour and free running commercials for Duke Men's Aftershave, K-Swiss trainers, and I did a few football commercials, doubling for David Beckham and Steven Gerrard. And
tough job. Tough job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I kind of got a taste for the filming side of things because I was doing live shows and with a bit of TV and commercials, and when it came about for me to start training to be a professional stuntman in the UK and get on the British UK register, you have to be elite at 6 disciplines from like a possible 12. So I trained for those, and I had 4 of those skills signed off. And 23, my first audition was to stunt double for James Bond in Quantum of Solace. And yeah, that was 13 years ago. I've never looked back.
That's amazing. And how old were you for Quantum Solace for James Bond?
23. I was 23 for Quantum of Solace.
And you've since gone on to work for the likes of Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks. You've worked with Spielberg. I mean, you've had 7 SAG nominations. You've had 2 Emmy Awards. 7 SAG. I think you've won 7 SAGs.
Yeah, 7, yeah.
2 Emmys. I mean, can you work a little bit harder? I don't think you're working hard enough there, Bobby.
You know what? The thing is, I think what I try and do is go to work and try and do the best job that I can do, and something I love to do and I'm very passionate about, and I try and have a good work ethic, which I think my mum's installed that in me from a young age. So anything that comes after that is, such as awards or anything like that, is a bonus, and it's nice to get that recognition. But just try and focus as much as possible on delivering the best performance of the job as a stunt performer that I can do, really.
Yeah. In terms of films that you've worked on thus far, if you had to pinpoint one that really stands out for you, whether it be a good reason or a bad reason, whether you were injured on one and it sort of stands out in your mind, or you just had a great experience on one, what would be? Actually, give me 2.
Well, I can actually give you more than 2. And I think just purely because I've been lucky enough to work on some of the biggest films. So obviously Quantum of Solace, stunt doubling for James Bond, my first ever film at 23, is a massive standout because I was like a deer in headlights. I was learning as we went, and it was, I had to stay fully focused. And and try and roll with the punches on that. So that stands out as my introduction. And then another one that stands out is The Dark Knight Rises, stunt double in for Christian Bale as Batman with Chris Nolan, because I was lucky enough to do Inception with Chris Nolan and then straight into The Dark Knight Rises with Tom Hardy and Nolan on both of those films.
And you worked on Dark Knight Rises, I believe, for 9 months. That's a long film schedule.
Yeah, it is. We had a lot of prep time at the beginning to break down all the action sequences and develop previs and try and, you know, bring to life the script in those stunt sequences with the whole stunt team that was involved. You know, Buster Reeves, John Street, Tom Struthers, Maxine, Cy, George Cottle, all these guys that were, you know, we all worked as a team to get the best that we could and bring to the table some unique things for Chris Nolan and the actors. And I had to go to Christian Bale's house in LA and teach him the fights at the beginning, and that was an experience because it's still probably my fourth movie, I think, and I was just like, what is going on? I'm in Christian Bale's garden teaching him fights. It was just insane. And I think for us, we started the film in the UK rehearsals, and then we shot for the first 4 months. And then I went to Pittsburgh, LA, and New York for the last 4.5 months. Yeah. And it was just, I mean, as a boyhood dream to wear the batsuit and do stunts for Batman was, you know, a real bucket list thing. And I wasn't even, you know, aware that was even achievable for me. So that is a massive standout for me as well. Plus, you know, I met Chris on I met Chris on Snow White and Huntsman, the end of that movie, because I just finished The Dark Knight in New York, and I came back to London and just worked on that show as a ND stunt for the last 3 weeks. Met him just to say hello. And then straight after that, we did Thor: The Dark World, the second Thor, where I met Chris, you know, and that was 9 years ago nearly. And we've since then done 12 films together, and Avengers Endgame, the biggest grossing movie of all time. You know, to be a part of that and to be a part of that franchise, you know, and obviously Extraction, the brand new one we've just done that's just come out on Netflix, is standout as well because it was full on heavy stunts just before my back surgery.
Number one here in the UAE. I believe it was number one in Australia. I think it pretty much blitzed it on Netflix, which was incredible. So congrats on that one.
Thank you. Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, Chris was, you know, incredible. His performance is great, and he's such an athletic actor. He smashed it out of the park, and I think the whole team did. Sam Hargrave, it's his directorial debut because he was a stunt guy himself. Yeah, and it was it was crazy. It was a whirlwind of a job, you know, in India and Thailand, and that heat that we were working in, and we had just come off the back of Men in Black, so we kind of came to India with like eight days out of principal photography starting, so we didn't have long to rehearse, and we had to, you know, hit the ground running, and it was a great experience. It was very challenging for everyone that was involved, and you know, it was, you know, I'm very proud of the end product. Yeah.
And tell me, something that I was thinking about prior to our chat was, obviously, you know, you're well known for doing Chris Hemsworth's body double work and stunt work, but you've worked with so many actors thereafter, and I guess people would think, oh, well, you maintain that Thor kind of body type, but of course you're working for different actors, so you'd have to be fluctuating in gaining and losing. And how is that on your body? I know you had a really sort of massive back surgery last year, which of course wasn't from a fluctuation of where your weight was, but in terms of your stunt work. So in terms of how your body is, it must be so adaptable, and then also training to make sure those injuries are, you know, avoidable, if they're avoidable at all.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I feel, you know, I've doubled Daniel Craig, Jake Gyllenhaal, Channing Tatum, Henry Cavill, Chris Evans, but Chris Hemsworth is by far the hardest to stunt double for, purely because of the shape that he's in. Okay. He's 6'3", 6'4" in his Thor costume. I'm 6'1", so I have to firstly wear 2.5-inch lifts in my costume boots, which is almost like doing stunts in high heels. So I really do feel for the female stunt performers out there, because it's unbalancing, it's difficult. Yeah. But then just his body type and his shape, he's not just big, but he's also completely shredded. So that's so difficult to maintain, because it's not my natural body weight. So I have to train twice, maybe 3 times a day, eat 8 meals a day, and eat very clean. And sometimes I think, okay, it's hard enough to put the muscle mass on, but not be as lean. But to put the muscle mass on and be as lean is what Chris is. It's so difficult. It's almost a job in itself. But it's something that I think I've been able to adapt to, not easily, but my body adapts to it because of my gymnastic background. And also I've been doing that for a long time now, where what I try and do is stay in the middle ground. And then if I need to put weight on, I can do it in about 4 to 5 weeks. If I need to lose it, I can do it in 4 to 5 weeks. So if I try and stay in the middle ground by, because I'm obviously very active anyway. So I'll train once, maybe twice a day for, 5 days a week, 6 days a week anyway. My food intake's not as intense as it is when we do Thor and Avengers, but it's still, 5 meals a day, maybe a couple of those are snacks, whatever, or protein shakes. But I think my muscle memory is there, and I've been doing it for the past 13 years. That it kind of goes, I know where I am now. I can do this. Yeah, exactly. And that's purely because of doing it for so long. But in terms of, I've had to do that as well, gaining and losing for the roles with Chris, because he's not always Thor shape. Men in Black's much leaner, and Daka was, that was working title. Extraction was not overly crazy. He's always in that ridiculous shape, which makes it even more frustrating. But it's not as if your arms are not on show like they are in the Thor and Avengers, you can slightly get away with it a little bit more. But generally, I've got to try and match his physique as much as possible in every film we do. And
obviously, you're a big part of the CenterFit app that you've got with Luke Zocchi and Chris and all those Melbourne boys now, Byron-based. Being a Melbourne girl myself, I know all about it. But you are now stemming into, I know this because you were filming in Dubai, and I'm sorry I missed you because
No, it's all good. You were amazing. You helped out loads. You were amazing. So thank you.
Pleasure. I was having maybe a little bit too much fun at home, so stayed there a little bit longer than expected. But you are now doing your own speaking part your first speaking part in a film.
Yes, I mean that kind of came around. I wouldn't say lucky. I think it was more. After Extraction, I decided. Me and Chris, planned it almost for me to have the back surgery that I needed to try and prolong. Sorry, 2 seconds. Sorry. Sorry.
No,
I had to. Yeah. So we planned to have the back surgery. Because Chris was going to take time off to spend with his family, and it worked out to be the right time. So straight after Extraction, I had the surgery, and then my very, very good friend Damien Walters, who's also a stunt performer, he's the pioneer of parkour free running. He wrote this script. He wanted to direct it and produce it, and he got all of his close friends, all close friends of mine, and we said, look, let's try and make this movie, and I want you all to do your own stunts, but also play the lead parts in it as well.
Yeah.
And it was something, I guess, that I was like, you know what, like, why not give it a go? It's a challenge, and I'm not being able to work physically right now, because I know that if I hadn't have had the back surgery, I would have been doing another show and not been able to commit to this passion project that Damien had and became a passion project for all of us. But we all believe in Damien and what he's capable of. He's been a close friend of mine, and I know what he can do for a very long time, and he's inspirational. He's so talented. And the script was an action comedy, so it meant we could get together, have fun. And initially, Damien was just like, let's make this movie, see what we can do. And I feel like we absolutely smashed it out of the park, and it was such a great experience.
Why the choice to film in the UAE?
Well, the reason that is we shot in Derbyshire and then the UAE. So without giving too much away, it's it's reality and fantasy. So reality in Derbyshire, fantasy in Dubai, and with that, because of Damien's contacts and his sponsorship with X Dubai, it made sense for us to shoot there, with pulling in favours from everyone and all these great people that are in Dubai that can help out with what we're trying to make. Everyone pulled together, and I honestly feel that we made some real magic in Dubai and in Derbyshire, and shooting it on such a low budget, shoestring budget with all your friends and having a laugh was honestly one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had in my entire life. So hopefully we'll have a release in August or September this year. And then hopefully we'll see what happens after that. But to be honest, it was so much fun. Again, I can't say it enough. to be able to do that with your best friends and just try something that I've always had a passion for, but maybe is not something that I've been trained in or my forte. But I think over the years, what we don't realize is we've gathered a lot of experience, and we've gathered a lot of, acting skill as stunt performers anyway. Yes, we're physical actors, but it's still a side of acting. And, just to embark on something new in my life was, a real experience that I absolutely loved and embraced. And, I'm writing as well. So I'm enjoying a few different things at the moment.
Yeah. Do you think that that's something that you would like to stem into, doing more speaking parts, maybe more roles, or you're pretty happy?
No, absolutely. I mean, I gave it a go, and I said, look, I'll give it a go and see, and I absolutely loved it, enjoyed it. So yes, I would love to be able to pursue that and see where that can take me. But, I'd love to be able to do it a bit of everything still. I enjoy all of those, all of those things that I'm lucky enough to be able to do. And, it would be great if some more acting roles came up, but, I guess watch this space and see what happens.
Yeah. And if you had to pick a role, say, that maybe has always been in the background of your mind, I mean, you've pretty much knocked off every Marvel, character, every superhero, but is there something that you haven't done that kind of lingers that you might?
Yeah, I mean, I guess because of the big four that I have done and been lucky enough to be a part of with James Bond, Batman, Thor, and Captain America, the next one for me that was very close to happening would be Superman. And that was on the cards. Luckily, I've got a very good friend of mine who's an amazing stunt coordinator, second director, Eunice Huffhart. She was coordinating Justice League and asked me to be part of the team. And we had a little discussion about, if I came onto the team, would there be a chance that I could be a double for Superman as well? There's more than one, and it would have been lovely to add that to the CV. And she was like, sure. And we were, that was going to be happening. And I thought that was going to happen. I think we both did, or, I was hoping it was going to. And then the schedules changed for Thor Ragnarok, and I had to go to the Gold Coast to shoot that. So that didn't work out. But that's another one that I think would be amazing to tick off the list. And I think if I could achieve that, or I was very close, it's a shame, but that big five, I think, would be ultimate.
Yeah. And in terms of, obviously there's so much danger involved in what you do. How do you prepare mentally for, jumping off buildings and doing the stunts that you do?
Yeah, do you know what? I think I draw on my experience as a gymnast and try and, again, I've been doing this now at the highest level. Sorry?
You have to psych yourself up.
Well, I mean, I've been doing it at the highest level now for 13 years. And I think with rehearsal and so much time that we practice, and we really do practice because that's paramount for us to make sure that the safety side of things are on point. That's something that we take obviously very seriously. So once I've rehearsed something and we break it down in small increments until it's ready for camera. So by working through that process, I've already rehearsed it and done the actual stunt a good few times where I know what's going to happen. I'm comfortable. We just then go on to set, put me in costume, take away the safety mats, and then you do it for real. So we've almost prepared for that scenario anyway, over and over again. Yeah. Obviously not as hard of a hit because on the day it's going to be a much harder hit. But we've set ourselves up for that. So, but yes, me myself personally, I prepare for stunts with. Everyone's different, but I can only speak for myself in how I do it. And I think I draw on my gymnastics experience where I kind of go into a zone and I play it over my head. I fidget with my hands and I walk around like up and down and just, I think that's just me getting into the zone. Some people like joke and laugh and they don't even like talk about the stunt, but that's just how they deal with, that side of things. But I'm much more, take myself into my own little hole and really focus on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I guess from the outsider's perspective, I think the stunt doubles are kind of almost the unsung heroes because when we watch a film and when we think of a character, we're like, oh my gosh, that actor's so amazing. But 99% of the time, it's you essentially doing the wow, movements, in particular in action films. So I think it would be really interesting to see you do more speaking parts. I think, you've clearly got the talent for it. So that would be very interesting to watch and see you progress from what you've been doing and into more of a, I mean, not that you're not a brand already in yourself, but I think that would be really interesting.
Yeah, and again, I think I try to do something I've never done before, and I guess without trying something new and stepping outside your comfort zone, you don't know what you can, what you're capable of. And I think believing in yourself is a massive part of that, and also not being scared to fail, because you have to learn from failing. You learn from that, and I feel that I had a go at it, and it was, in some terms, people refer to it as the hardest way to start, because it was comedy, and comedy is, a lot of people say it's the hardest thing to execute, because, you've got to make things, as comedic as possible. And I think what helped a lot is the team that I was with, Damien that wrote it, the part that he wrote for me was just so much fun, and I had free range to just go for it and really, wear my heart on my sleeve and have as much fun as we possibly could with it. Really contributed to the final result. And again, I loved it, and I'd love to be able to work in that capacity on other movies as comedic stuff and comedic TV show. I mean, my hero is Ricky Gervais. He's just, I think a lot of influence from him, and the way that I act and do things is influenced by him and the way he does things, because I just find him absolutely sensational. He's the best comedy actor, I think, of all time. For me personally, he's just next level. Yeah,
he really is. But I don't want to keep you too long, but I did want to mention something that I've been noticing on your social media that I thought was worth a mention, that you're doing it's Battle Cancer, I believe.
Yes, I'm now a Battle Cancer ambassador, and it's an honour for me to be part of the amazing team. And Scott Britton and his wife Freya Britton, they founded the foundation and Battle Cancer charity. It's basically, unfortunately, my nan passed away 3 weeks ago from cancer, and she's someone very close to me. She's not blood nan, but she's been like my nan since I was 10. So, and it kind of happened all so fast. And I think things happen for a reason, and fate, it's such a horrible thing that she went from. And I wanted to, through that, someone reached out to me through a friend, and it was actually Scott Britton, the founder of Battle Cancer. And it was 3 days after she passed away. And it was almost like it was meant to be, that I wanted to do something for her in her memory, and keep her memory living on, and try and help as many people that are in that unfortunate situation in their lives, that have either been diagnosed or they've battled to get through it. So what the Battle Cancer Foundation does, and what Scott and the team do so well, is try and raise awareness for cancer sufferers, directly or indirectly. It doesn't matter. There's anyone you talk to, everyone has suffered from it in some way, shape or form. And fitness and well-being and your health and diet is so important. And by having a network and a support team there that can help with the mental health side of things as well, with fitness, and the foundation has events all over the world that have training events to help raise funds and help raise awareness. And there's a process that they go through where they put cancer sufferers through a training program to get them to become personal trainers in their own right, and then they can then help other cancer patients to get train and go through the same process. So that's the basis of it. And it is, and I guess and as we all know, there's been so many studies that have proven that a mental side of that, to get through things when you're really struggling, is fitness and through health. And that is such an amazing, powerful thing that you can obtain yourself going through that. And just to know that there's people there to help and support, it means so much. And to be able to, and I just felt compelled to do everything I can in my power to help as much as possible. And I reached out to a lot of incredibly inspirational and influential people in the industry, across the whole entertainment industry, and got a lot of videos from people saying through Battle Cancer you're not alone. And just to get that kind of support from everyone was amazing. And everyone was so helpful, and they were just like, anything, let's help and get this out there and get that that message across. And that's why all those videos have starting to go, you know, all the social medias are starting to show it. A lot of media outlets are talking about it, and that's what we want to try and do, is raise that awareness and get that donation to the foundation.
People, like, is it a donation kind of?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it is. So if you go to the website, which is www.battlecancer.com, everything you need to know on there, and the donate page is on there, and the Instagram is battle.cancer, and all the info's on there. You know, Scott Britton is obviously.
I'll pop it onto the link to this as well.
Thank you so much. That really does mean a lot, and it's basically just trying to get that out there. It's word of mouth as well is so powerful to people start talking about it and know that there is this foundation there to help people that are going through this, and it's so important for that to get that message across to people.
Absolutely. Well, it's a credit to you for using your, you know, large platform for things like this. I think, you know, we're so used to being bombarded with these, you know, lovely images on Instagram and so forth, but it's always nice to see someone using their platform for something that isn't beneficial necessarily to them, but to the wider
Absolutely.
community. Yeah,
absolutely, and that's powerful, and we all know that in today's society how powerful social media can be, and you know, the best thing is to try and use it in the right way. You know, that's it,
absolutely. But thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. So
lovely to see you and catch up. You. But everyone, I think your Instagram, I'll obviously tag everything, but it's Dazzler84.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. It's great to see you, and I hope you're well, and let's catch up again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Bobby.
Take care.
Have
fun in the heat.
Oh, I will.